Alright, we are officially live.
We are we?
Yes, we are.
Cool. I'll just get the thing. Be quiet, cat. Otherwise, I will do Sachiko ever after on you.
Wow.
Wow, that's kind of cat-phobic, man. I'm gonna report you to PETA.
Thanks, man, for telling me I went live. Really makes me feel bad that that's there.
Boop.
We'll be starting like soon to get started the discussion stuff and just making sure I've got things sorted out.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Sounds good. Will we be answering questions of the audience here as well?
We can if there is any questions.
Mm.
That's if people want to interact with us.
Mm.
Keep again, I actually called this podcast literally this course party, the Seesaw series. It just seemed like
the Seesaw series. Why would you say?
Because it goes up and down in terms of quality.
Okay.
So it's like very seesaw-y if you really want to look at it like that.
Are we gonna mention anything else regarding course party? Like, are we gonna talk about when the next video is for the was it Ultimate Choice? The skit, yeah.
Not until I get those HD models. Which won't happen until I get those fucking other versions of the game. Oh no, like that thing's on a hiatus until I get them. And
that's fine. I'm just making a bit of conversation while we're here.
No, that's cool.
Because again, I'm kind of a bit off guard to know what to say and answer for the podcast.
No, that's cool. Don't worry about it. It's basically just like, I mean, you've got a good idea what happens in the first one.
I do remember seeing the anime for what was that literally called?
Tortured Souls.
Tortured Souls. That was it. The anime. But
we'll talk about that once we get to the spin-offs and adaptation section. Which will be after the story section. Which I've actually now made I've made like a notepad to make sure that we don't lose track of, because last time it was a bit over the place a little bit.
I don't remember how it started initially as like, what was it, was it game in the 2000s on like RPG Maker?
A little bit earlier than that. I think like 1998. Hey, Lemon.
1998, something like that. Hello, Lemon.
Let's see. I'm gonna quickly double check that because I'm pretty sure it was 1998. That's the penultimate question.
But damn, that's one hell of a
time. 1996.
But damn, still, that's one hell of a time for it to be like an RPG Maker game. For it then to have spawned like multiple alternate versions of the game and an anime.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to look at it, it's like one of those things you just want to like wonder if like which game is technically the canon one, the original, the rebuilt version, the blood cover, or like, and just anything else from there.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure I've got my. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wait, what the rebuild was made in 2011? Weird. Don't think that's right. Because I swear it was like. Oh wait, hang on. Did it really come out to us? I might think of like an English version came out for 2011. Oh wait, no, it was. It was recent. That's weird. Why was it like a? That doesn't make sense to me. Why was this released in like? I'm so confused. I don't know what's real anymore. Quick, call the police. So I need to change the music in this, because the song I've got playing is not really fitting. But then I gotta remember which song I want. Let's see. Alright, so to start things off, I might as well just go over the introductions. I mean, people can see who we are on the screen, because I usually have to make sure people are able to see who we are. But if everyone doesn't know, to new people who come, I am Scion Setsuna. I am the host of the Random Gamers podcast, and joining me today is Just Rich Gaming, and also my co-host, which I first picked for this one because he knows a lot about cosplay, because he's been doing videos with me about cosplay for a good while now, and that is Rory. As he dies in the corner. Question of the day is to Rory: when are you going to make YouTube videos?
We'll be right back.
You can't go to commercial.
I think I made my answer in one of your games against humanities. I'll make videos when I make videos, but I'm not making videos. It's like, oh, so you're not going to record this time, am I? That's probably why I don't have any video.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. But yes, we are the, and I am they, and elsewhere something sausages or something like that. So, to go over everything, this is going to be a podcast on Corpse Party, the Seesaw series that goes up and down in terms of quality. Let's just put it like that, because there's really nothing. There's no better analogy than that. Let's just say that. Well, to start things off, we might as well start off from the very beginning. Corpse Party originally started back in 1996 and was originally a PC game. It also goes by another name known as PC-98. As back then, the game was originally made on RPG Maker. The RPG Maker was known as RPG Zukuru Dante 98, which is the program, which is what it was actually based, which is why it's known as PC-98. The game was very, very basic. Let's just say that it isn't what the behemoth that we got for the PC, PSP, and 3DS as years went on. And well, it actually garnered a bit of success from having a look at the wiki real quick, because I don't know much about this game. Apparently, it sold really well, apparently it net them about 5 million yen from this whole game.
So, hang on, it netted them 5 million yen. So, I'm just getting it. 1 second.
It's 61,000 US dollars. That's what it is.
In puns, it is. They made 34 grand on it. In pound sterling. So yes, wow, that's really impressive.
For a game made in Japan, it really just comes down to how you see it. Also, I've been flicking through music because I gotta find the right one. Oh yeah, I also should mention that if you also got questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat. We will answer them at the end of the podcast.
If I might make comments based on that, because I do, particularly when I was writing scripts for our skit version of Corpse Party for Scion's channel, I did try to see about looking up Let's Plays, whether they came from being from the likes of Markiplier, PewDiePie, Horror. I can say that right. Yeah.
What say YouTubers' names?
Yeah, I just wanted to be checked, but I do remember seeing that they actually did do a Let's Play of the first Corpse Party game, and yeah, I will. For the time, it is what it was expected for a game at this time. It reminded me very much of the old Final Fantasy, not 5 or 4 or something like that. The graphics on it, yeah, PC game. It was all right, and from what we remember of the story now of Corpse Party, from the first one that was remastered to the one in '96, it was, yeah, the main story in the cast is there. Although, I think it becomes much more scarier that when you have the players not able to fight back against the evil cursed spirit in an RPG battle, as you did in '96.
Yeah, and
no, literally, you could have like Satoshi and Mayu and stuff like. Wait, Mayu wasn't in it, but you get what I mean. Like, you could have Satoshi fight Sachiko for some reason.
That was like well, Sachiko was actually known as the girl in the red dress in the original build, and yes, you have to fight her because in RPG conventions that was the idea. But like, of course, I don't think anyone could have expected the series to be as big as they thought it would be. If I remember correctly, the game then got bought. The game was supposed to have a different game made. Well, it was supposed to be made after the original game, which was supposed to be a prequel known as Corpse Party Zero. If anyone watched the fan game stream I did a few days ago, they would know about that game and how weird it is to play. Especially how weird it takes a turn in the weirdest direction. Based around two sisters, one being Kari Hasegawa and her younger sister, Shiho Hashigawa, as they are pulled into the same school as they are, and they travel through the entire school, meeting different spirits, going through several bits of ordeals, and, well, you get the picture. It's not... The game really has, like, some differences going on for it, but it really just comes down to what you actually think of the game as a whole. It's... You can take it as non-canon, or you can take it as a sort of canon, because the characters are from the game, and you can find their name... And you can actually find their name tags in Blood Covered in like chapters 4 and 5. Is that
the fan game that we had where it was
no
Naomi? No, that's not the one. Okay,
Corpse Party Zero is supposed to be a prequel, but that game never came to fruition, and fans decided to make their own version of it. Or like the game was still like made, but like fans had to like fix it up a bit and all that.
Mm.
I'm just like trying to make sure I've got like decent enough music going on in the background. There we go, that's the one I was looking for. But yes, moving on from that one, we then move over to, if I remember correctly, the game actually started back in 2003, if I remember correctly. No, wait, it was 2008. Moving over to 2008, on the PC, Japan, on March 8th, Japan officially got itself chapters 1 and 2 of the new version of Corpse Party, known as on the PC known as Corpse Party, or in Japan known as Corpse Party Blood Covered. This would be the game that actually would start the whole new trend of what the series would be known for. Introducing four new characters for the main cast, and a bunch more characters through student IDs, and also being new characters as a whole through extra chapters that were added to the game as the game was being released. Because as you see, this game had something weird going on to it. But you see, the game was not actually properly releasing itself as a full game. It released itself as CDs that you actually need to purchase. The first two were on one disc, or they were on two separate discs. I don't really know because I didn't know the exact idea behind it. If they were on DVD, then they wouldn't have to worry about that. But they were both released on March 8th of 2008. Literally 5 months later, the third chapter came out. But then a month later, a special edition came out, and then after that, after Christmas, they released a limited edition version of chapters 1, 2, and 3. And then finally, in 2009, we finally got chapter 4. But then silence happened for a good 2 years until chapter 5 was finally released on July 28th. But of course, by that point, people would have already forgotten about the PC versions entirely. Because at that point, we would then have been given, on the PSP, Corpse Party Blood Covered, Repeated Fear. And if anyone knows about this one, this is the one game that every single YouTuber and their mothers have played. Which would be really funny if their mothers actually did play it. Because then I'd probably just laugh.
funny enough, I did mention earlier when I was talking about some stuff with anime conventions and stuff. My mother would be like, it would be like if I came along to the convention with you, because I'd be like, it was basically when we were talking about conventions earlier and which ones we wanted to go to this year. And I was like, it would be basically like you taking me to a convention, Richard. Like, I'd be like, I have no idea who half of these people are and who they're supposed to be dressed up as. But no, with the mother joke at least. But yeah, everybody's played the one that you were saying before.
Yeah, so now we will actually get to actually talking about the story. Which we'll try to actually split the story up into we're going to split the story between chapters between ourselves. So, I think I'll take chapter 1. Who wants to take chapter 2? We'll try to quickly explain each chapter so we can get through all the games and then move on to the next section. Unless someone wants to take chapter 1 and I'll take chapter 2 because it's a...
Honestly, I'm kind of off guard here, so I don't know like how best to explain it. I'll probably be going and it will not make it won't make the podcast interesting. So it's best that you or Rory probably to be the best for this.
Alright, Rory, should I take chapters 1, 3, and 5, and you take 2 and 4?
If I can remember what 2 and 4 are.
If you need help, I'll give you a hand with it. So, without further ado, let's begin with how this whole thing started. As everyone else probably knows, the PC version is basically the exact same version as the PSP version. Well, to be more exact, the PSP version is literally the exact same as the PC version because they literally are almost nigh on identical, except for assets are a little bit more different. On the PC version, they are a little bit less detailed. But we're not here to talk about detail, we're here to talk about that story. On a dark and rainy night, a young girl is telling a story about a teacher who happened to die at this school, and says that she actually still wanders the halls, scaring all her classmates. This young girl telling the story is known as Yumi Shinozaki, which, by the way, she becomes a Mary Sue later, but we'll get to that later on.
Yeah, it's very important that you know this story because it does happen later on in the game.
After she tells the story, though, all her classmates are spooked, and we get to meet them all. We get to meet the original cast, that being, of course, Satoshi Mochida, Yuka Mochida, Satoshi's younger sister, Yoshiki Kishinuma, Ayumi Shinozaki, and Naomi Nakashima. They are the original 5 cast that were in the original game, and we get to meet a new bunch of characters. Naomi's best friend, Seiko Shinohara, two newcomers being what was his name again? God damn it, I can't remember his first fucking name.
It's Morishig. It's his first name. You're not able to remember. I don't remember.
Sakataro Morishig and Mayu Susamoto. They are all there trying to clean up from the festival that they had literally just a few hours ago. But of course, everything is not as it seems. As the lights start flickering, and they start hearing noises. So they tell Satoshi to go and investigate. What are those noises? He goes, investigates, hears a noise, and as it turns out, it just so happens to be the teacher.
Miss Yui.
Yui Shishido. Of course, that's what happens. She comes in, is all like, hey, we played a trick on you. Me and Yumi played a trick on you. And everyone's like, oh, that's really funny. And Satoshi's like, oh, goddamn, I pissed my pants.
No, it was... Well, at that point, was it when it was during the storytelling or after when you got scared with that little prank? It was like, I kind of tend to wonder, like, what kind of person has an involuntary reaction as to grab another student's chair? No, seriously. Satoshi grabbed.
Okay, Rich. See, there's a reason I didn't bring that up. It's not really important.
Yeah, I know that. I know it isn't. I know that, but it's just kind of like no. I just remember these things. Leave me alone. Okay, but it's just it just make me wonder, like, what kind of scared reaction would someone get from that? I mean, yeah, it would be startling. I get it. It's not like boom grabbing startling. Yeah.
You gotta love that boob grabbing apparently. But
Wait,
yeah.
Wait a minute. Did Chico just enter the conversation?
No. What are you talking about? The Sachiko's not here.
What is that then? What is that?
Yeah, it's a glitch in the system. I don't know how she got into the call.
This better not go into unfriended territory if you've ever seen that movie.
No, it's not gonna go into that territory. Bobs. What do you... Monica. Oh, god damn it. Lemon's like literally just like naming like people who like hijack stuff. But yes. As Richard says, there's boob grabbing involved, but that's not really important. After everything happens, Mayu seems really distraught. Because it's her final day at the school. So in order to commemorate, they take a picture, and Ayumi pulls out a little doll. Known as the Sachiko Ever After doll. And she wants to do the ritual so that way they can be friends forever. But of course, friendship doesn't always last forever, and well, let's just put it this way. They fall down a hole. They
fall into the black hole.
Yes, they fall into a hole, and then we get to first play the game as one of the older characters, Naomi, with her best friend. Well, at this point, this is where things are starting to get a little bit tricky to explain. As they have no idea where the hell they are in this place, they start wandering around the halls, meeting ghosts and being told about where they are. It turns out that where they are is what's known as a closed space. A closed space is something that has been completely tied off from the rest of the world, and is being controlled by a very malevolent spirit or someone who has a really strong power. Long story short is, though, it's not exactly something you really want to deal with. If anything, though, you want to make sure you try to stay away from these spirits. The spirits aren't exactly the most friendly of people. Some are good with the blue spirits, but some spirits can turn into red spirits. That being, well, they're evil. Long story short,
that's usually a case. Sorry if I interject. I think that's usually a case in like Japanese folklore and like the mythos kind of thing. That if people die, like I said from what you were mentioning about when I told the ghost story, is if anybody like dies in a horrific and an unnatural or undignified way, they usually just come back as a vengeful, pissed off spirit, which kind of makes sense. I would probably come back as a vindictive motherfucker if I died in some horrible fashion. But please.
Anyway, they end up going and wandering around. They come across a bunch of bones. The bones actually has a spirit inside and tells them exactly about about everything that's going on. But before they can learn more about what's going on, they actually see the girl in red. They bolt out of the room and try to get themselves time to recuperate. After that, they continue on finding a newspaper article explaining about what's going on with the school and the events that happened in the past. They get locked in for a minute, but then they quickly get themselves out. As time goes on, Seiko wants to go and butter up her pooper. So she wants to go to the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
So they end up going to the bathroom where Naomi starts panicking. She's worried that something may have happened to Seiko, but nothing happens. They go out and they keep moving forward. As they keep going, they keep trying to find a way out. They go downstairs to check the front door. Of course, it's locked. But then they head off to the nurse's office. As also probably mentioned as well is that Naomi has also hurt her leg. So they need to go to the nurse's office to go and get her leg fixed up, which luckily Seiko actually knows how to work with actual medical stuff. So they rest over in the room as Seiko goes off to go and look around, because they end up hearing what sounds like Yuka. So Seiko goes and takes off to go and see if she can find her, and leaves. Well, she leaves Naomi alone in the nurse's office. As she's alone in the nurse's office, though, there's something else within that room. A dark spirit is after her, chasing after her, destroying the floor, trying to cut off all exits. As Naomi tries to bolt around the room, burn off the hair, she bolts back outside, to then find Seiko, who then says, who's wondering why what she's doing out the room. But of course, Naomi's not exactly taking this very well, and is experiencing something what this game now refers to as the Blacken. The Blacken is something that anyone can undergo, and it affects them in various different ways. Some may actually go down extreme schizophrenia and panic, which, by the way, that happens to a lot of people. Some actually have quite a bit more control, but they don't seem to have any semblance of what exactly they're doing and kind of dissociate themselves from reality. And in some cases, they end up being possessed by the spirits. And in Naomi's case, she ends up becoming pretty bitter about the whole thing and being, well, a bit of a Debbie Downer. And as a result, she ends up arguing.
She ends up telling Seiko to fuck off, really.
Yep. She tells her to pretty much to piss off. But she does that. And because of that, though, Naomi starts to panic. She wonders where her friend has gone off to. But during that time, Seiko is following a voice, leading her towards what's known as the custodian's closet. And, well, everything starts taking a turn for the worse. As she heads upstairs, she ends up finding Seiko's corpse hanging up in the bathroom stall. Naomi panics and goes and get a bucket to try and help her up, but of course, as she tries to help him, the bucket gives way. She pulls the rope down further around her neck, eventually killing Seiko. Naomi, now all alone, does not know what to do, which then ends the chapter. Leading on to chapter 2. Rory, if you will.
Shit happens in I assume.
I mean that's technically true.
Shit.
Shit happens. Big shit happens.
So you see, it opens with if I recall, the teacher, who's a thick bitch, and little bit Chayumi is like, and Yoshiki's like, shut up.
Bitch, you be quiet.
Shut up, bitch. And then Mishiri's like, okay, kids, I'm gonna go fucking look for someone, because I heard something, so y'all stay here.
Is it more like, okay, kids, I'm gonna go find someone, you guys stay here?
Fuck you. Fuck you. So she fucks off to find people, and she goes off into a room, and then she meets a spirit, and she's like, I care about my students, but not the fucking way. And then shit happens. I'm not good at explaining shit. This is why I failed a lot of the presentation parts in school. So then, slam, bam, boom, wow. She gets smacked down by a fucking cabinet.
Shelf
cabinet, because the ghost is like, fuck you.
Fuck you,
you don't care about your students. And then it's to black. Cut back to Yui. She's like, we should go find Miss Yui. And Yoshiki's like,
how about no?
No, she's supposed to stay here. But I wanna go find her. And then they leave a fucking note and book her off. Shit happens.
Do you want me to help you?
Yes.
Alright, so continue from where Rory left off. They leave the classroom and go wandering around. They try looking for a way around the place though, but then they come across something. They realize that they can't actually cross the floor because it's actually blocked off. As they continue to proceed forward. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention that this is also kind of... Is it important? Is it really? I can't remember if it exactly is important. But before Miss Yui actually leaves, she gives them what they believe to be the Power Stone, which is supposed to protect them from spirits. So anyway, as they continue to move on forward, they try to find a way to get across the gap, and well, to no surprise, they have no way to actually get across. Eventually, they come across a room which the atmosphere feels strange. Ayumi feeling really wheezy about the whole thing, kind of just falls to the floor, and Yoshiki's like, "Whoa, bitch, you okay?" And she's like, "There's something here!" And like, they look over the room, there's a goat, and there's like a little child blue boy ghost standing on the floor. Ayumi then states that, "Don't look at it! It will make you a pedophile!"
And Yoshiki's like, "Stop this nonsense, I'm just gonna go over there and see what it is."
Yes, exactly that. So he goes and turns on the switch, which then leads them back to the classroom that they were in. As they leave, the spirit starts kind of making them... Well, not the spirit. Ayumi starts acting kind of strange. She's basically acting really, really weird. She sort of like bolts off into the room in some kind of possessed state. She doesn't. She keeps coming in and out of everything that's going on. But of course, if you leave her though and try to activate the switch, you end up killing her. So you have to go and confront her. After you leave, the ghost spirit actually happens to be there, and you need to get around him. But in order to do that, though, you have to make sure you don't get touched. Because here's the kicker, though. Touching the ghost means it's game over for you. You get a bat.
It's instant death. It's either if you look the ghost right in the eye, like if you just somehow manage to make eye contact with it, like line of sight, game over. And the other one is if you let the little boy touch you, you shouldn't let that happen. That's also a bad thing as well.
So anyway, after they get past the ghost, they head back to the classroom, which they actually happen to have a crowbar, which they also picked up from the room that also happened to be where the switch is. So obviously they go and head up there to go and turn it on. Once they activate, they now have a clear shot to get across to the next area of the school, since both ways upstairs and downstairs were currently blocked. As they make it across, they come across the nurse's office. The nurse's office seems like sort of a safe place, let's just say that. But after a while, though, they make it up to where the bathroom is. And this is where things start getting much, much worse for our duo. Ayumi starts
There's no toilet paper!
Yeah, sure, let's go with that. Oh. So yeah, Ayumi starts acting strange, and of course, Yoshiki has no idea what to do. Of course, a red spirit appears and tells him that she is possessed. And this is where something bad can happen if you're not careful. You leave her be on the stairs, she'll kill you. Head to the bathroom, you end up saving her. After that, you then head back towards downstairs, back to the nurse's office. And lo and behold, who do you find down there? You find Mayu with 2 ghosts. And she's all like, "Don't worry, these ghosts are friends." And
then the ghosts are like, "Hey, I got an idea. Since we're all friends, why don't we play squash with you?"
You jump on the gun.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
But in order for them to try to get her to be free, they need to find a way to get the killer's penance. Which, as it turns out, it's not exactly. It's sort of more easy than you think. Because all they need to do was just find a doll, find its body, and find its head, which would then reveal the truth. Which then turns out it's not exactly the truth. But then, as Richard puts it, well. Oh wait, I also forgot to mention that they also meet someone else along the way, known as Naho, who gives them the idea about finding the doll. I completely forgot about her because I don't like her. Am I biased? Maybe, but who gives a shit? Anyway, after when they find out though that's not actually that's not the actual killer who actually did this to them, they then immediately squish Mayu, and oh my god, the PC version has it a bit more worse.
Oh, they've not just splattered her against the wall. It's like
a upper half has been smashed and her legs are still left on the ground.
Yeah, it's been it's like they've at least. It's not like minced beef. It's literally like, which I actually find quite more horrifying that I see that now. Where this is actually like that was a person. It wasn't just It wasn't just someone's intestines on the wall.
Yeah, props to the PC version for actually having that little bit of detail. But yes, as you see on the screen, they end up trying to follow what happened to Mayu, who gets splashed in the wall. Ayumi panics, runs off, and Yoshiki gets attacked from behind, leading into Chapter 3. Chapter 3 starts off from where we last left. Oh yeah, and also Miss Yuri's still kind of alive. Kind of. Yeah, sure, let's go with that. But in chapter 3, we then go up and meet a new bunch of characters, which are from a school which we're not fully known of. Something has happened to them, and we don't know what. We then jump around the place, going back to Naomi, who's now panicking, reading her phone, and worrying about what the hell she's supposed to do. We keep seeing messages that looks like from her mom, but then also sees other various messages, makes her panic even more, leading her to actually thinking about actually wanting to commit suicide. Meaning, we have to leave this bit of the game for now and come back to it later. We then jump to the next characters, that being the original duo, Satoshi and his younger sister, Yuka. They end up going
Holy shit, I was just looking at the remade version of Yuka, and her eye fucking huge.
It's not the remade version, this is the PC version. This came out first.
Oh.
The PC version came out, and then the PSP version came out a little bit after, like, Chapter 4. I think it was Chapter 4, or maybe it was Chapter 3. I can't remember what. But basically, they end up going around. And Yuka's like, "I need to go to the bathroom, Oni-chan," and like, Sarah's like, "Can you not just hold it in?" It's like, no. So like, the main objective right now is to get to a bathroom, which is a lot more easier said than done. As they keep looking around the place.
Damn it, Yuka, just take antidiuretics.
As they go around the place, they end up making it back to the nurse's office to get some rest. But during that time, though, as they rest, we end up seeing Yoshiki, who's now been left into a room. He then gets surrounded by spirits, and that big guy is there again. Satoshi waking back up, thinking it was a dream, but it wasn't a dream. He saw what was actually happening. A little bit while after though, as they explore around the place, they start hearing a noise which sounds like a camera shutter. And lo and behold, as they keep searching through the school, they find Morishig, who happens to be taking pictures of the body, which now the lower half of the body seems to have disappeared, but then again, this is a different school. Yes, like I said, a different school. You see, these closed spaces actually are not exactly as simple as everyone thinks they are. The closed spaces are actually, if you want to put it like this, they are actually different schools where all the other students actually ended up in. Each of the characters have ended up in different locations. And due to fluctuations that happen in the school, they may end up in the same school as their friends are, or they may end up in a completely different school entirely with a completely different layout. The layout may look the same to everything else, but something will always be different. Some people will be able to...
It's basically like Inception. That's effectively how I'm thinking of this situation, where it's like you go within a dream of a dream of within a dream. It's
nah,
weird,
it's not really like that. You can just basically...
I liked my saying for it anyways.
Anyway, after dealing with Morishig, who's acting kind of strange, they head up to the other building, try to find a bathroom for Yuka. As they keep going around the place, they end up meeting strange things. Weird gloopy glops on the floor that will kill you. And a girl who happens to be in the art room who doesn't say anything but only murmurs. Mainly being her mind is broken. She's been in here way too long and she has no idea what's going on anymore. As they keep progressing further and further, they end up kind of getting, well, split up. Because, well, Yuka wants to go and pee outside, where the railing is, where they actually managed to get between the schools. And of course, she happens to see one of the ghost girls. She darts back in, and then comes across someone else. She then ends up
Yeah,
by herself.
That's what happens in this world as well. Like, you'll go, if you even like go into a different room to someone, that's it. You might not even see them again. So it's like, oh, I'm just gonna use the bathroom. You come back out, and it's like it's a different pocket dimension. You can't get out of it again. Yeah.
Yep. But after that, Yuka then meets Morishig again, who happens to be standing right next to a dead body, and Yuka's kind of questioning him. But he's all like, why are you running
It's not weird, I'm just poking the body with this stick and taking pictures of
But then after that, Yuka then runs off and then bumps into who's everyone's probably heartthrob of the game, Yuya Kazami. And he tries to help.
He's a heartthrob. You know, after when you find out what exactly he is,
when you meet him first, you don't know anything about the context. He basically
okay, that's true. That's true.
If you look at it from that way, then he is. But yeah, once you find it later on, it gets weirder. Yuya says that he will actually go with Yuka, but also given a little bit of a white lie, saying that he's also looking for his sister. As they both go around the place, they keep trying to find more clues on how to get around the place. And eventually, they end up coming across some magic shoes. If I remember correctly, they do come across the magic shoes, and they're able to get into
literally.
Yeah, magic shoes.
There's just magic shoes. There's just magic shoes, and I do believe that was a thing in the '96 game as well, wasn't it?
No, I don't remember. But basically, the magic shoes are supposed to help them get across the evil skull group, which they need to actually get into to get an item. So as they keep going further and further and further in, they finally find a way to get into the bathroom. And eventually, one of Yuya's classmates appears, Kawasaki. And he explains to what's been going on, saying that he found Mitsuki's body. And he's saying that he's had enough of seeing all these dead bodies in the last hour. But then something strange happens. Yuya then stabs Kawasaki and kicks him down the hole. Acting strange, he then starts to give a very different vibe about him. And then we cut back to what happened to Satoshi. He apparently passed out and wakes up in a completely different room, happened to be the staff room. And then finds some information mainly about what this actual place is. As it turns out, the information that he kind of finds is based off a tape, if I remember correctly. Oh wait, no, it was an article. It was an article I think was actually written from, I think it was written by Kabiki, if I'm just quickly skimming this over the video. So excuse me for the moment while I'm trying to make sure I've got all my information correct, because I would like to make sure.
Yeah, because I think it was eventually you do find articles and pieces of notes from Kabiki, because he was. I don't want to jump the gun again, but he was a news reporter or someone who wanted to report on this weird place.
Yeah, basically that. So anyways, Satoshi keeps wandering around the place. He basically wants to get out, but then comes across Naho again. Who then explains what's going on, and to be perfectly honest, she's not exactly on his side. In fact, she seems to be more or less on no one's side, only for the benefit of someone else. We'll get to him later. Moving on to Chapter 4, which this is where it gets a little bit more harder to actually comprehend. I'm skipping the main of the opening bits because they're not really important. We basically start off with Mayu. We find out what happened to Mayu. She wakes up in the exact same part of the school as what Yoshiki and Ayumi were. She then comes across the ghosts, and then we get moved further in time. Heading back to Satoshi, he ends up trying to come across Naomi, who ends up coming across her phone, which falls down the stairs. Then finally find her in the bathroom and saves her. Then bringing down Seiko to let her rest, even though she's already dead. As they move further and further, though, they keep trying to keep their hopes up, as they hope to find Yuka. Of course, it isn't exactly as simple as anything else, as the game will then immediately cut back to whoever's next in charge. Again, this is really just coming down to me remembering everything. I'm trying to remember everything at the top of my head. There's a lot of information. Oh yes, that's right. That she then takes her back to the nurse's office to go and check the door. And well, the door back to the room is Well, it's gone. The door is gone. He can't get back. He's panicking because Yuka's still there. As a result, we then pop back with Yuya, who has killed Kurosaki. Yuka panics out the bathroom, saying that there's something wrong with all the stalls. He goes and investigates, and the stalls are all full, as he has a bit of a cheeky laugh. As they keep going on...
They're just filled all with hanging bodies, aren't they?
Yes. They keep trying to look around the place, as Yuya in his head talks about having her as his dear little sister. And well, as anyone knows, you don't want to be this guy's sister. No one wants to be this guy's sister. We then come back to Ayumi, who happens to be standing out in the freezing cold rain. No reason as to why she's out here. But apparently she actually got herself separated. Because she ran off like a little bitch. She's now trying to...
I don't know if it's a thing, because I know she was very much a spiritualist, and I don't want to jump the gun into, like, what her background is for this. But is it just because if you are, like, a spiritualist, you're more kind of vulnerable to be affected?
You're more susceptible to possession.
Possession. That's what I was thinking about that.
So yes, now she's off trying to find flippin' Yoshiki, who, by the way, has been hit on the head and has apparently gone missing. As she continues to walk further and further, she keeps trying her best to keep her spirits straight. But of course, she isn't exactly very strong-willed, and panics everywhere, trying to find some kind of clue to make sure she gets around this place. Eventually, if I remember correctly, if I'm trying to find the right bit as well, because my memory is really bad. I remember she actually does finds Yoshiki, because I'm just like basically jumping around the footage. Eventually, after looking around a bit, she does come across Yoshiki as she keeps going around the place looking for information, finding more about the school and learning about everything else. Eventually, like I said, he ends up finding her. She ends up finding him along with Naoho, explain the situation, and them trying to work something out. Learn that what they need is to actually help the spirits move on properly by finding what belongs to them. And so begins a fetch quest for both of them to find stuff, particularly tongues. Because you know everyone loves a good old tongue, and don't you do that. But then after when they confront one of the spirits and give it back its tongue, the school starts to fluctuate. That is, she worried about what happened, and so tries to go back, but then coming across Shinohara's phone, who happens to be close to the custodian's closet, which could only mean one thing. Seiko came through here at one point and dropped her phone in a panic. So then he heads off, trying to go and get Naomi to go and help him with a puzzle, which the puzzle happens to be trying to fetch a key from a room, which teleports between the rooms. As they do that, they end up making a step further in the right direction, head inside the custodian's closet, reading about some particular bits of information about an antique doll and stuff like that, and particularly the girl named Sachiko, who was one of the kids who managed to get out of there alive, but the rest of the children that were kidnapped did not make it out at all. After that, we end up cutting back to Yoshiki and Ayumi, and they keep progressing further and further, activating switches and making their way to the pool, where Ayumi decides to go and take a dip in the fucking pool. Of course, you have to go and save her though, because she's a dumb bitch, and then you find the next item that you need. Once you do that, you give them to the ghosts, and then everything seems to start. Well, you almost do. You need to go and find more information, and Morishig ends up, well, he gives them one of the items that they actually need, which incidentally turns out he may have been actually grave digging or grave robbing where Mayu's corpse was, and he doesn't know this. After when they do all this, everything fades to white, and they feel like they've returned back to this, and they've returned back to their school. But of course, one of the ghosts says that, look, you need to come back. Everything's still shitty. I don't want to leave everyone else to die.
Please, like, could you try to fix this just a little bit? I know you've gone through hell literally to get out, but can you like help us move on? I guess.
But of course, the Yoshiki doesn't really want to go back. I mean, who want to go back? But Ayumi wants to go back to save her friends. But before she does that, she wants to learn more. They need to learn more about the ghost. And so, Yuki, who is the ghost girl in the footage right now, shows Ayumi the past. Shows her about who is the real culprit. And it turns out, it happens to be the girl in red, Sachiko. We then end up going back.
But it's not just showing her who the culprit is. It's letting her relive the whole fucking ordeal that they went through. It wasn't just, I found you and now I kill you. It's literally, I'm going to take your eye out with a pair of scissors and I'm going to scoop it out.
Yes, basically that. After that, we then cut back to Kazami and Yuka, which they haven't exactly made very much progress. Until he starts acting more and more weirder and prompting, well, Yuka to run. She then comes across Kurosaki, who is now bleeding on the floor, dying, and then Yuya kicking her and knocking her out as he finishes off Kazami. As she wakes up, she sees that the boy is dead and Yuya covered in his blood. She tries to run. She tries to get away as the man is calling after him. He eventually manages to escape into the next building and get away from him. Morishig, still in the other school building, is trying to keep his sanity in check while also trying to find Mayu. Remembering a bit of his past about in the school about how much Mayu actually supported him and how much he actually needs her. As he flicks through the pictures, he comes across the one he took ages ago with the voice of Mayu saying, "Don't look at me, Shig bro." And then, well, he... Don't
tase me, bro. No, I'm sorry. But seriously, no.
He then decides to, well, jump out of a fucking window and promptly kill himself. Or does he? We'll get to that later. As we cut back to Satoshi and Naomi, they are now more convinced than ever before that they need to find Yuka and get the hell out of here. Afterwards, Naomi again comes back to reality after experiencing that hellish nightmare and still decides to go back. Yoshiki, reluctantly, decides to go with her and keeps on pushing forward with her, and they head back to the school to go and find their friends. And of course, not only that though, Yuka is still on the run, but it's now been followed by the girl in red. As they keep wandering around the place, they actually come across Nakashima's student ID, which then later on they end up actually getting to a place where they actually will meet them. Satoshi actually remembers that he has a tape, shows it to Naomi, and they look through it, showing Mr. Kabiki and his assistant Taguchi, who have both come to the school as well, using the very same method as how they got here. The reason they came here is to actually film this entire place for like his next book. But of course, if anyone knows anything, it's not going to go very well for these guys. With Taguchi running off in panic and Kabiki never been heard from again. They are puzzled about what this way out is, and hoping that they can rejoin up with Yuka and the others to get out of here. And literally a few seconds afterwards, they actually rejoin with them, and they start learning everything about this. Of course, they also need to make sure they actually get back to everywhere they need to go to, meeting up on the next floor upwards. As they keep looking around, they find, as they decide to make off their search. Sorry, I've really got the burps. I know we had food not too long ago and it was curry. Making me gassy. Tachiko then comes across Yuka, who is not exactly giving Yuka the best vibes, and she runs off. Luckily, Satoshi and Naomi find Yuka in the second building, and they rejoin up with her. Eventually, they end up coming across... What do they do next, exactly? Because I'm trying to make sure. They end up going back to the building and trying to make their way through everything as they come across another tape. Learn about what actually happened to Kabiki. They find out that some girl called Naho killed him. And well, it's not exactly a very pretty sight. Once they do that, they actually find something at the back of the custodian's closet. They go up the ladder, and it actually leads them to the girls' bathroom, which then makes things get a bit more awkward between the characters as they head back to where Seiko had died. As they make it up, they decide to rest here and wait for the others to catch up. They start. Ayumi and Yoshiki are going around the place looking for information they can find, and they end up coming across Naho's diary, meaning that they actually have some information about her, and they learn a bit more about what's going on. Telling Naho the truth, she ends up breaking down and realizing that she was the one that killed her mentor, Kabiki. She then leaves behind something that Satoshi, Naomi, and Yuko actually need to progress further in. They need 2 statues to actually proceed into a room that they don't know anything about, which turns out actually gives them information that they actually need. But before that, Ayumi and Yoshiki actually go into a room which happens to have a flippin' open floor, which Miss Yui, who's still alive, saves them and sacrifices herself as she falls to her death. As they continue onwards, as they leave the room, they see someone actually entering the incinerator. Which, as it turns out, the person entering the incinerator happens to be the principal. As they enter onwards, Sachiko tells them to head back. And they find themselves, well, before we get to that, this is something that was added in the PC version and the 3DS version. The three of them, both Naomi, Satoshi, and Yuka fall down a hole, but Naomi's the one that falls into a black pit of bugs, and they're trying to crawl over her and pull her down, and she makes her way out the escape, and head up to the room towards the nurse's office. The nurse's office actually being an important place to be, where it turns out the person who was the school nurse, actually happens to be Sachiko's mother, known as Yoshi, who is a vengeful spirit here who was killed at this very school. And
I kind of like the one where she's actually just standing up, a very like calm and devoid and such. That one looks very like she is. She looks more zombie than she is actually a spirit. That's like, yes, this is what's happened to me. It's that very like, I am just here. I am existing. I am.
Yeah.
This is what's happened.
Yeah. I know what you mean. But anyway, after they learn the information about what happened and come across a black plushie doll, they head up to the principal's office to learn more information. Also finding a tongue in the room, and also find a secret passage leading down into the underground basement. The underground basement is where exactly they need to go and find Sachiko. As they continue onwards, they find something very bad happens. They come across Taguchi again, who's kind of panicking at the mere sight of Naomi. For whatever reason, they don't know exactly why, but the only way they can find is if they follow him. They then head into a room, basically what I like to call the slaughter room. As they look around, as buckets of blood is everywhere. They hear a noise as they hide underneath the table. As they hide underneath the table, well, they see, well, the man dragging Seiko's body. Naomi bolting after him, trying to find them, but then they lose sight of them. Ayumi finds herself in the body room, well, in the bathhouse technically, or the body bathhouse you want to call it, and Yoshiki seems to have vanished. But then it turns out he's just in the pool of flipping bodies. As Yuka and Satoshi continue, they end up finding the river too, making their way further in to go and make sure they go and deal with the girl in red. They have everything they need to finally put an end to this. They use the doll and her memories to bring her back, and finally ready to put everything to rest. As they say the chant, Sachiko, we beg of you, to get out of here. Say it the correct number of times. 5 for the first 5 for each of them, and 1 more for Sachiko. Now that they've done that, the school starts to tear itself apart.
That was the thing. Naho was enough of a bitch to be like, oh yeah, we'll get to that.
That's in Book of Shadows.
Oh.
I have to mute myself because I had a bad cough. Anyway.
Like I said, I'm totally unprepared for this, and but the fact is, yeah, what you're saying is so far is right.
Yes, I do know that. Anyway, as they continue onwards, they try to escape, and they finally make it out. But, of course, everything ends with a price on the head. The people that died at the school are completely forgotten, and everyone is upset that this all ended horribly. With Naomi showing Sadashi the messages that she was getting from Seiko. They end up grieving over that and holding each other in their arms, and that's where the game ends. The first game ends on a pretty good note for me, and if anything, they kind of didn't need to actually go off into a sequel. If anything, though, they could have just ended it as it was and maybe just left it as there. But no. 2 years later, we then end up getting a sequel. That being a prequel, a sequel, and a spin-off. Corpse Party Book of Shadows. This contains 8 chapters of different alternate realities, different stories of prequels and sort of sequels to events that happened in the original, and of course, something that leads to the actual next entry in the series, Blood Drive. The other chapters aren't exactly important. They basically just go over like alternate versions of what happens in different endings and stuff like that, or what could have happened in this ending from the original, and or just like people's past. Learn about Miss Yui's past when she was a student at Kisaragi Academy. See what would happen if you actually did a specific ending in Corpse Party where some of the characters have deja vu and Naomi trying to save Seiko. And so on and so forth. We learn more about some characters and all that. But the main thing about this game is to talk about the last chapter. Because of what happened in the events of Corpse Party, Naomi can't forget Seiko. She's been known to have fits of rage, throwing stuff around the place, shouting and screaming that why doesn't anyone remember her friend? It's gotten to the point where she's actually standing outside her friend's house, and like watching, hoping to maybe talk to her siblings. But Ayumi stops her, telling her that there may be a secret at the Shinozaki estate. They make their way there by getting on the train and getting a lift from a guy who seems kind of funny. As they get there, they find nothing there but a shed. As they leave, they find out the driver's not there. They wait a while, but he doesn't show up. It starts getting worse and worse as the wind starts getting cold as they try to head back to the shed. But in the forest, they seem to be getting more further and further lost. Eventually, they end up coming back to the shed, only to find the Shinozaki estate floating right in front of their faces. They have no idea what the hell is going on and why this is actually right in front of them. But of course, they take the step inside. As they go inside, they learn more about what this place. They learn about Sachiko and her mother, and about someone else, the husband, who happens to have his face scribbled out. Eventually, they start hearing noises as if someone was actually following them. They end up finding a secret passage, and then leads them to what's known as the title calls it, the Book of Shadows. The Book of Shadows is a tome that's known for black magic.
It's basically it's almost like the Book of Witches on a Necronomicon, to be quite honest, isn't it?
Yes, exactly that. But of course, it isn't exactly what they want to use. But of course, this may be a way to get their friends back from the dead. So, they do everything as the ritual tells them to, and try to summon their friends back. They start off with Ayumi, who then comes back as well, a faceless body. Screaming out in pain, the spell backfires, and then leading Ayumi to be really brutally injured, getting flipping buzzsaws thrown at her as she suffers and starts bleeding out. Naomi, trying her best to stop the flames, can't do anything, and she starts panicking that she will be next. Luckily, Ayumi's older sister, Hinoi, actually comes in to save the day, saving them at the very last minute. But of course, something worse happens. If I got this right, and I really do hope I have this right, from what images I've seen of the particular scene from the game, the Book of Shadows is the thing that actually kills her sister by decapitating her head off. And that the game ends with Ayumi screaming. Book of Shadows is kind of like one of those games that really... It's alright for what it is, but it's not enough for it to really feel like an actual sequel, if anything. And so now we move on to one of the games that's a bit of a funny one to try and talk about, since both myself and Rory don't know a lot about it, and that's Corpse Party Sachiko's Hysterical Birthday Bash. Which...
Is that the one where it was also a manga as well? You showed me, like, bits of that.
Yes, it is a manga. Most of this stuff has a manga to it. But let's just put it like this. It's very difficult to explain because not only is it a spin-off, but it is also canon to the story. Because there are characters in it that actually appear later on in the game. In the future games, to be more exact. Let's just put it this way. Long story short is, Sachiko's birthday happened. And she's all like, time to bring everyone back and have my birthday! And so literally everyone that's died, people who have either been to Heavenly Host come back to life, people that were there originally have now been pulled back, and even new people have been brought to this place that haven't been here before. And they all have play games, they all have partying, they all go swimming, they all wear costumes, they do scenes, they do music,
They even die horribly.
Wait, what?
Is at one point where Seiko has her head put into like an egg, and then like she gets thrown down a hole?
Yes, but she comes back, she survives that. Like,
because it's funny, especially when she gets hung.
Wow, that's dark. It's really.
I'm just calling as I see it. I'm just calling as I see it.
It's really funny because she got hung. You know, that's normal thing to say. Anyway, the game's not exactly important, but what comes on after that is Corpse Party Blood Drive. The game that follows on from where we left off. We leave off with the girls are screaming their lungs out, and as everything falls apart for them. Time goes by and Ayumi is in the hospital. Kind of, well, not taking it so well, let's just say that. Comes back to school and her friends are waiting for her. As the days go by, they find out they have a new teacher, which I completely forgot her name, which is really bad. I'm gonna have to quickly look it up now.
That's fine, don't worry, take your time.
What is the teacher's name in Corpse Party Blood Drive? I can't fucking remember. I hate it when I can't remember. Oh, Kuon Nawa, that's what it was. They have a new teacher, which I'm gonna have to jump the gun this one. She has a crush on Satoshi. Let's just put it like that. And she seems to have some really strange connections with people. Because she's the president of a company. Anyway. Ayumi then comes across, God damn it, what's her sister called? Oh, Aiko Nawa, who gives us some information about a place that she go and visit. She goes and visits the place to find an item that seems kind of important, which is also attacked by the person who actually lived at the house and almost dies. Luckily, her friends come and save her, but she's not doing really well. Again, she ends up in the hospital again, meeting someone called Magari, and telling her about how to get back to telling about Heavenly Host and showing her a spirit picture. It was either her or it was Aiko that shows her the spirit picture of Yuki holding what looks like to be the Book of Shadows. And the only way to get back to Heavenly Host is to use what's known as the Ever After Stones, which you need to get both of them and use them to get back. At the same time, someone else is also coming to see Ayumi, known as Matsuto, who also wants to go there, but for other reasons. So, once he gets the stones, he ends up going with Ayumi to go and head over there. But Yoshiki's all like, hell no, you're not taking her away! And then gets punched to a wall and is all like, fuck! As they get taken there, Ayumi's all left alone, exploring the school and trying to figure out what the hell is going on. At that point, they also... Aiko going with Magari, I think... No, Magari gives them the stones, and then heads... God, I'm trying to remember like a lot of information, because this game is like very tricky. I'm just going to try to give a brief summary for this one, because this one's...
There's a lot of shit that goes on in the party games.
Yeah, this one's a harder one, because I haven't played this one in a good while, so... To put it simply, the girl in the picture that Ayumi was shown wasn't actually Yuki, but a completely different girl. The girl was known as Sachi, and apparently she is supposed to be Sachiko's twin, but then was absorbed into Sachiko, and the only thing left of her was her baby teeth. Which doesn't make sense because she didn't have baby teeth. But whatever. Anyway, she's now trying to kill everyone. And she also appears in ice cream. Anyone remember that scene where you just, like, you run up ice cream and all of a sudden her face just happens to be in ice cream?
That is how it be.
So yeah. Yoshiki heads back to Heavenly Host. Tadashi and Naomi head back to Heavenly Host along with the teacher. And everything's going to shit. As it turns out, as going for the school, they've been fucking around with something called the Tower of Sephiroth, which will lead to the end of the world and combining both Heavenly Host with the real world. Eventually, everything starts to fall out of touch, and Naomi is then forced back into the real world as everything starts falling apart. Magri then sends her back, and she goes and saves the day by using the Book of Shadows, the real Book of Shadows, not the tome that Matsuto ends up creating, which he ends up saving people and becomes an absolutely Mary Sue. As they keep going around the place, they end up finding Yuka, who was also brought there as well, and one of her friends happens to be, well, not normal. Anyway, turns out that Yuka's friend is not exactly very normal. He's actually some kind of monster that can actually eat people, and actually eats Matsuto's head off. As they keep going,
as you do, you know.
Yes. After that, they find Yuka, but turns out she's actually been possessed by Sachi, because they finally get rid of her. Then lead into possibly the weirdest thing in the game, that being, turns out there's actually more to this than meets the eye, where there's actually a core at Heavenly Host that they need to get rid of. But they can't exactly get rid of because the core happens to be someone that has been around for hundreds of years, known as the Queen. And so you fight her using ruins to actually stop her, and then finally, Ayumi makes a bold sacrifice to stay here with the Book of Shadows, taking it upon herself to hold on to the world, losing her mind, and becoming just an empty husk. Everyone nearly escapes, but Yoshiki decides to go back and saves her and takes her back to the real world. The only downside is, though, everyone else now remembers everyone that died, including all their friends. But Yoshiki and Ayumi have been erased from everyone. And Yoshiki now spends all his life looking after her. After that, we then move on to Corpse Party 2, which is something I can't really talk too much about because I don't know any of the information. Long story short, it still follows the canon of the series, following on directly from Corpse Party Blood Drive. The way I know that, though, is because one of the characters you see pretty early on in the game is seeing Ayumi in a wheelchair, brain dead, and someone which people have assumed to be Yoshiki looking after her. Tadashi is also in this game, but I don't know much about it. It takes place in a hospital, that's all I can really say. This one is a bit of a funny one, but honestly, that's really all I can say about that one. And that, ladies and gentlemen, being the story of the actual main focus games, the other ones are kind of a bit of a funny one to talk about. So, moving on from this, we move on to what should be the spin-offs and the adaptations, which won't be a very long topic to talk about. So, spin-offs and adaptations, we already know a few of them, that being the sort of Sachiko's Birthday Bash, Post Party, Book of Shadows, and if you want to be technical, kind of Blood Drive in a sense, you can technically go by that logic if you really want to. It really just comes down to what you think. But adaptations, that varies from a lot of things. You've got several mangas that covers from different versions of the actual games, some different adaptations of the games, having their own different continuity, and also books that focus on the same continuity, but also based on different characters. Then you also have animes, which one of these animes I will go into much more detail in a future video, once I get down to writing the script for it. Those being missing footage and tortured souls. Missing footage being about a 12-minute episode showing the events of the characters before everything goes to shit. Whereas Tortured Souls is a complete retelling of Corpse Party with various different things that make it much different, condensed down to 4 episodes, which kind of kills it, and the ending is completely different to what it actually is, leaving kind of a bit of a sour taste in my mouth when I watch it. And then you have the live action versions. The live action versions are, well, they are a thing. They are a thing indeed, because I don't know what else to say about them. Like they are literally just a thing. Like the live action stuff are a thing. If you want to watch them, go right ahead. I mean, I've heard that.
Well, I have to admit, for the live action things, I mean, they did like a live performance of Persona 4, so it's like if the series in itself is that popular as to get that kind of service, you know, like to have a live action movie or, you know, blah blah blah, it's just like, damn, you know, it's like, I have no idea on how it could be that popular, you know, as to get like a live action movie. There you go. If there's a big enough fan base for it, you know, like, people will have it, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Also, apparently my window for my stream windows completely decided to die on me for some stupid fucking reason. So, it also came with saying that the chat had been disconnected.
Oh no.
Which, that's really nice to know. It says I'm still live though, but how am I supposed to know nowadays? I don't know what's even going on anymore. Does anyone know what's going on? Because I don't.
I'm just listening.
Yeah, I need one of you to keep an eye on the chat for the moment, because apparently I can't see it. Because apparently it's like not showing up for me literally at all. Window, how dare you do this to me? Anyway, there's 2 adaptations for the live action section, and that being Corpse Party and Corpse Party Book of Shadows. I have never seen them, so I cannot have a good enough opinion on them. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the characters. Now, this is something that I think all of us can at least jump in on, because we can at least talk about this now. So we'll start off with like the first main character. That is Shin Mochida. He is probably one of the weakest parts of the series. He is definitely a plank of wood. Like,
I don't know about that for Satoshi, you know, like, I can't really say much for the character himself. He is I think he is what he is. He's the typical protagonist, which is, he's trying to do the right thing for his friend and for his little sister to make sure to get out that bad situation alive, you know, but I will agree that there isn't much to him. That I think he's the one person in the series, until like you kill his little sister, is very much like, unless you kill his little sister, he's at least trying to hold some level of he's trying to hold some level of like trying to keep things together. He's very level-headed, I would say, and that's how I see it, at least.
I don't know. I mean, he does start getting more confident as time goes on, but there's not really much to his personality. Like, there's not really much you can say about the guy.
Yeah. Well, at least you could say this, okay? That at least he's. I don't remember much on Satoshi's character, but I don't think he's a whiny little bitch. He tries to just get through it, regardless of the situation, and that's something there, at least.
Yeah, that's true. At least you can say that about him. Anything to add on, Rory?
He's just lame.
He exists?
I fucking guess he exists.
He exists to exist.
I mean, I don't know, he's not really that good of a main character. He's like listed as being a protagonist, but it's like, he's not in it that much to be a protagonist, really.
Yeah, if anything, like, sure, you play as him maybe probably the most, I'd say, but even then, that's a bit of a sort of stretch, if anything. It doesn't really make him the protagonist.
Like, he's not the main character. Like,
I think
all the
really
main
in
five
most.
are all protagonists in their own respect, really.
I'm gonna check what the wiki says.
I think really in any kind of anime or animu and such like that, Satoshi is. Well, I would say that he was the protagonist, but at the same time, we get chapters where it's based on all of the characters, so all of them in themselves, all of them in themselves are protagonists in their own way. It's just that we don't like We just don't like Satoshi's point of view. If I'm getting from this podcast.
Yeah, I guess you can say that. He just feels kind of average. He doesn't really bring anything to the table, really, when you really stop.
No, if I could say it like this, and I know this is a bad example, like, and a protagonist is basically how we see the point of view of a person's outlook in life. So, if you have a look at Goku, for instance, which is a bad example because I'm currently playing Dragon Ball Legends on my phone, is he's a very enthusiastic and like innocent and positive individual, you know. So that's something that we can get by because he already knows who he is as a person, if that makes sense. So, and that's fine. Where Satoshi, I really believe that Satoshi is more acting like the person where I've been given this situation and I have to do my best to get out of it, and that is, I would assume that's the best way of how he's handling it.
Yeah, I guess you can say that, but if I had to say I just don't find him all that interesting. Like, and that kind of is a bit of a downfall, really.
I will admit that part of it, that there isn't much to him as a fact, but at least I'm trying to find ways to defend the character, at least.
I mean, you don't technically have to defend the character. If he's a bad character, it's a bad character. You can't really do much about that.
Sure, I get that, but at the same time, it's just like, try to find the good in everything, at least, you know?
True enough. So yes, now we've got Naomi. Honestly, she's not too bad. She's definitely sort of strong-willed, but has moments of being weak when she loses sight of things and becoming like a completely unstable person when she loses the person that she considers to be extremely important to her. Like, by literally stalking like her friend's house and all that. That was probably that's like the biggest drastic turn. Also, even going to the point of even trying to commit suicide twice, by the way.
Well, like I said, it all comes down to how someone responds to that situation. Because if I suddenly heard that, if I saw my best friend Curtis die, you know, and he just ceased to exist because of the Sachiko curse kind of thing, and nobody believed me, if they thought he was an imaginary friend, I would probably be going off on edge and being pissed, because it's like it's that situation of you really are asking in desperation of, please believe me, I'm not crazy, this person does exist.
Please believe me, I make toys.
I guess it's a horrible situation to be in, I get it, you know, but it's trying to define it is just one of those situations where it's like where it's like something is true but nobody else believes you, and in this case literally nobody believes you because the situation dictates that Sachiko's curse has made it so they don't exist.
Very true. But yes, I actually do think Naomi's probably like one of the better characters, and that she's definitely well written, if I had to say that. She's definitely got flaws, she's definitely got things that she wants to do in life. And it's understandable. It's understandable. Have you got anything to add, Rory?
I mean, she's okay, but like in the first game, she's an okay character, and in the second game as well. I just cannot deal with her in the last game. and fucking her whining, whining,
Oh yeah,
whining
I
with
forgot it.
fucking Seiko. Like, shut up, we can't. Shut up.
Wait, are you talking about Book of Shadows or like Blood Drive?
Like, some of Blood Drive. No, all of Blood Drive for Naomi. Because it's like I get it, you care about Seiko a lot and shit, but my god, shut up. Shut up, man.
Look, I understand because I can understand Naomi's point because again, if you've known that person for like all your life, if you know like you've got that one friend or person in your life that you just like literally me and Curtis are like childhood friends, you know, so we've known each other since we were like 5 and I'm like 28 now, going on 29. So you don't just like give something up like that, you know. That's what I'm saying. It.
I get that. Makes sense. But she does. But like, that's fine to an extent though. But like when you're playing a game though, when you just hear it over and over again, it just gets kind of annoying.
Fair enough.
Anyway, moving on to, we then have Yoshiki. I'm gonna try not to be biased about this one, because I like Yoshiki, so I will try not to be biased with her. I think Yoshiki out of the main cast is definitely like one of the better ones for being developed. You actually do know a lot about him, that he actually got kicked out of his own house, got kicked out of his own family, lives by himself, works to pay his bills, and because of that, though, he has a bit of a problem with like respecting authority when he started out in school. But of course, Ayumi's the one that kind of shifted that and started actually coming to classes more, actually paying attention and all that. But also, Miss Yui was also a good teacher. That's also a thing as well that also helped him get his good grades. His little sister, which we never actually meet, also keeps him on the straight and narrow.
He has a little sister?
Yeah, her name is Miki. You never see her.
Huh.
Like,
okay.
It's something you can actually gloss over if you're not careful. But yeah, like, he's probably like one of the better characters who actually want to actually protect the person he loves, want to stay by that person through thick and thin, do whatever it takes to make sure that person's okay. He's always loyal to his friends. Has a pretty decent sense of humor.
Well, no, like I said, Yoshiki, because he's seen as like the ruffian of the whole thing, you know, like. And don't get me wrong, I understand if people have got their issues. I get that, but it's like when he has friends, he definitely has friends, you know. So, and hold on a second. There, I'll sort that out. It's Yoshiki, when he has friends, he has friends. I think he's just misunderstood and he's been put in a bad situation. I don't think he's actually a bad guy. It's just circumstances dictate that he's just been put in a shit situation.
Yeah, that's pretty much the best way to put it. You got anything? You got anything to add, Rory?
He is
sexy.
He is. No. I was gonna make a joke, but no. I don't think he's. I was gonna sit here, but like he just is, and then you button with he's sexy. Like, nah, my joke is gone.
I don't know. It was a pretty good joke as well.
He's not sexy.
No, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. In seriousness, I was gonna say that if what you were saying is right, like he is, it sounds like like regardless of the situation that Yoshiki has been in, he kind of just deals with it.
Yeah, he basically does. You see that in missing footage as he's like just like getting stuff for like home and all that and just making sure he has everything ready for his next day.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. He's not, you know, even though people see him as an outcast and miscreant and such, and It's not like he's being fuck it, I give up. As soon as he meets people or positive influences in his life that actually try to help and support him, he's like, no, I refuse to accept these things. I'm going to do something about it because these people care about me.
That's true. But yeah, he's probably like one of the better one on the cast to actually be well developed. And now let's move on to probably like my least favorite, Ayumi Shinozaki. And do I need to go and explain this to people who don't know? I really don't like her because I don't really like her character and all of her constant whining and always like saying it's all her fun and trying to take the initiative and try to fix everything. I get it, okay? You think it's all your fault, and kind of, quite frankly, a lot of it is, but just stop complaining. Like, we get the point. We get it. You have feelings. You're a character. We get the point, but you don't need to keep going on about everything is your fault. Like, if anything, though, we're missing the real culprit here. That's Naho. We'll get to her, though. But yeah, Yumi's, like, probably, like, the most annoying character out of the lot of them. That's saying a lot. Like, I generally do not like a character at all. Like, it's just... She's just so grating after a while. Like, all the time she gets possessed... Like, what I find strange is that you'd think, like, she being, like, a spirit medium, she'd be less likely to be possessed, but apparently you are a conduit for spirits? Which... That's always seemed kind of strange to me, because you'd think the people who aren't, like, attuned to, like, spirits would be, like, the most likely to be possessed. But no, she's like a flipping conduit for flipping spirits. All the time. And she keeps getting possessed.
Which sounds worse, because it sounds like, yeah, it's just like, fuck it, this is going to happen, you know?
Yeah, like, what's the point, like, if anything, what's the point of even, like, doing anything with what's the point of even working in the spirit world?
Why the fuck would you even be a conduit for it, you know?
Like, here's the thing, I don't even think they have a choice, the people have a choice still, but why would, like, if this happens a lot, you should probably, like, quit doing it. Like, if that shit's happening, like, who knows, you could be on the tour and all of a sudden a ghost could possess you when you're on the John. Do you want that? Do you want that? Do you want a ghost just to somehow possess you when you're just taking a shit? I don't think so. So yeah, Yumi's not very good as a character. Anyone else got anything to say about it?
She can eat my ass.
Okay, that's in your own personal time, but that doesn't
I basically say she could eat shit, but like, I'm putting it nicely.
Well, then why didn't you just say like she could eat shit and die? You know, because that would made of things.
Because he just said he was trying to be nice.
You know, like eating my ass. It's nicer, man.
Yes, exactly. Whatever that means. You got anything to add, Rich?
Not really, I don't think I have.
Alright then, let's move on to Sadashi's younger sister, Yuka. She's a little sister. She's spoiled. She just wants she wants to do everything with her big brother. And it's mainly due to the fact being that she loves her big brother, not both as her brother, but also a lover.
Sweet home Alabama.
Well, like, to be fair, besides the being a love, you know, that kind of bit, you know, when I'm the younger brother in my family, you know, so at the same time, when I was around that age, I did want to, like, hang out and, like, be with my brother kind of thing, but it's not, like, kind of in a gay way or anything like that. But my point stands is, like, I did want to hang out with my my older brother and, like, hang out with him and stuff. So I'm just saying that seems like typical sibling behavior.
Yeah, behavior. She's all right as a character. Like, she's like a younger. I
don't like even then when bad things happen to her. I'd rather not the bad things happen to her.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like,
because in most horror games or horror movies or whatever, there are characters that are so downright unlikable like when you see them go, you're like, good, glad she's fucking dead. You know? I don't see that for Yuka. It's just depending on the canon and the story ending, what she goes through. And to be honest, in the whole idea of corpse party, that is not something that a young girl should go through.
Yeah, everything that she goes through and the way she acts is definitely very accurate to how a kid would act, especially someone who's 14. I mean, you could say that maybe some 14-year-olds would be a bit braver, but no matter how you look at it, though, no one is brave enough to take on the reality of seeing corpses everywhere.
If you've ever played Darkest Dungeon, okay, it's a very good thought exercise of, like, nobody, regardless of how hardened you are, like, you see a whole bunch of corpses, that's gonna scar you for life.
Yep. And in fact, just recently, my sister, actually, since she's trained to be a nurse, had to deal with her first dead body, and she did not take it very well. Let's just say that.
Oh, no.
So yeah, she was kind of scared, let's just put it like that. She did not sleep well. I think she actually came down with she came down with chills, I think, for a little bit. Let's just put it like that. It spooked her really badly. But yeah, Yuka's behavior and all that, she's fine. Honestly, a little the incest thing I could do without. Like, she's fine. Rory?
Well.
As the voice of Yuka, do you have anything to add on?
Oni-chan! There. She just wants to up the ass, man. Next question.
Whoa! Oh, fucking! Whoa!
I want Oni-chan's pee-pee up my bumhole!
No! Stop it!
If that's not online in Corpse Party Chico's birthday bash, I don't know what it's going to be put into.
Hey, Satoshi, that's not supposed to go in there. Oh, maybe it is.
Sound like him from the Powerpuff Girls. Do you know who I'm talking about, Rory?
Yeah,
yes,
him from the
tall red person.
Yeah, just making sure. Anyway, back on topic. Let's talk about the character that Richard voiced, Seiko.
They're gonna say more shit. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, not the big titties.
What you mean the medium-sized titties?
Seiko was. I mean.
I guess, like, yeah, when I look at them now, they're kind of big. They're maybe a little bit smaller than Naomi's, but, like, you gotta, like, do what you can with girls, though. You gotta make them look bigger. Anyway, Richard, what is your opinions on sake boobs? I mean boobs sake. I mean, I love your boobs. Damn it.
Boobs Mackenzie.
Boobs Mackenzie, yes.
No, I get it. With Seiko as a character, it's just unfortunate that how she went. You know, it's just because really, she just got sucked into a situation where she hadn't done anything wrong. But when you find out a bit more about her life, she's a single. I think she literally was like a single daughter, which I think she had several brothers, if that's correct.
I will double check that, but go on, continue.
But she's the oldest sister of a family of like 3 or 4, like 2 or 3 or something like, and her parents are divorced. So
not very divorced. Her mother disappeared.
She for some reason she just disappeared. I remember that, and that comes down to whether or not you watch the fan versions of the Corpse Party games. But even though I'm trying to kind of get away while I've lived, oh my, you know, like the totally super gay version of Seiko, you know, like I want to get into Naomi's pants at every turn. I'd say she's likable. I like her as a character, and you know, like I don't see anything bad about her. It's just, I think that's the weird thing about most anime or like any kind of Japanese culture is that they do try to explore those areas. Quite frankly, I don't know how far like with English and American culture would go for when it comes to like a girl liking another girl, but that's just me anyway.
It is a thing that like it's not very common, but it's sort of accepted in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I think Seiko's fine. If anything, she's fine. There's nothing wrong with her. She swings for the same team. Let's just say that. She wants that Naomi butt and no boobs, but she can't have them because she's dead. Hey, oh, I just realized Jacko's here. Hello, Jackos. I'm doing good. How are you?
Hi, Jacko.
Welcome to the podcast. Anyway, Seiko she's one of those funny ones, but in a good way, I guess you can say. What about you, Rory? What do you think of Seiko?
She dead.
Is that all you're gonna say?
It's wild.
She's just dead, paired with titties.
I guess what I don't like is she's been used as a club if Naomi goes to the dark side.
Oh yeah, when she was pulling when you go back the other direction, you find Naomi like darkened and she's like dragging Seiko around the place. I just woke up, my back was a little stiff, but I'm fine. No, it's not too bad then. As long as it's not too bad, you'll be fine. I mean, I wake up sometimes with some pains like that. But yes, Seiko is alright, let's just say that. I need to get back to the character list again so I can make sure I'm not missing any. Alright, next up, let's talk about Mayu. She is okay. From everything else, like, she is fine. Nothing really much else you can say. Like, there's not really much you learn about her. Like, you know, like she was in the drama club. She was in the drama club and all that. She makes costumes.
Morishik wants her as his waifu.
And she wants Morishik as her husbando. That's a thing. And she splattered on the wall. Not really sure what else to say other than that.
Surprisingly, until it was like you get background into her character, you don't really learn a lot, you know? It's just, you literally don't, you know? It's just like, she's the person who gets splattered against the wall, unfortunately.
Yeah, like, it's Book of Shadows that actually expands on her, showing that she's actually a lot more, she actually gives herself a bit more credit, she's a lot more braver, she does more things and all that. But again, that's just a what-if scenario, though. So it's not really enough to go off. What about you, Rory? What do you think about Mayu's character, also not character?
She's fucking... She's just fucking...
Just
fucking... Boo!
Yeah. Basically, she's fucking...
she's fucking boo!
Poo.
Boo!
Poo.
But basically, Mayu is basically fine. She's not too bad. This is not enough to go off, though, and the what-if stuff doesn't give enough info. Let's talk about Sakataro Morishik, then. The guy who takes pictures of dead bodies. And he's
Okay.
I don't know, man. That's a bit too far, I'd say.
You know what? I think you're probably right. It is a bit far. Unless Richard has something to defend him.
Well, no. I would have to say there's not really much I can say in the way of what I would consider defendable in what his actions are. It seems like, if I were to think about it, is there isn't really a lot to try to defend himself with. It's I think it is what it is, where it's like he has very strong beliefs in what he thinks life is, anyways. So it comes down to it being he already believes that people are not who they seem they are. He's trying to keep a social status because that's just the thing to do. It's not very likable traits, but it sounds very sociopathic. He knows this.
Yeah.
He knows this, and he's like, just fucking like, I'm not willing to put up with it. It is just what. I really don't know what else to say about Morishig's character other than that I play him, and I'm trying to defend him, but I'm only thinking that the reason why he's taking the pictures of the dead bodies is because it's some kind of affliction because of the darkening.
Well, another way you can look at it is like it was supposed to be like for him it was some kind of stress reliever to try to keep him sane. Let's see.
Well, yeah, sure, but at the same time, there's like there were other things that could be stress relievers. Because, for instance, when Satoshi had the bottle of beads that Yuka gave him, that was very much like a remembrance of like what he's trying to work towards, trying to get out of Heavenly Host Elementary. But that's just me, anyways.
Didn't we make a joke about that though? Like they were up like Yuka's butt or something when we originally played that. Like I remember.
Well, when you do it like that, then you just spoil it. But yeah, sure, whatever.
I don't know about Corpse Party, but things can be very creepy when you realize by surprise, even a jump scare. Yes, that's very true. And if you're on about Corpse Party, you can watch this podcast from the beginning once it's up. Best way to actually get a better idea. Or like wait until we actually stream the other games whenever that happens. But like, yeah, Sakataro Morishig is one of those weirder characters, where I have to say. Especially because when you think he's dead, he comes back alive in Book of Shadows, grabs Mayu's remains and starts doing opera. And then you like thinking, oh, you should kill yourself. And he's like, I should kill myself. And Mayu's like, no, don't kill yourself. He's like, I'm gonna kill myself. And then he dies by stabbing himself in the throat.
I'll kill myself if I want. Don't you fucking judge me.
Well, it was Yuya that made him kill himself. But yeah, like he kind of like kills himself. Just Rick, you sound like Stephen Merchant when you talked. Stephen Merchant.
Unfortunately, I do not know who that individual is, so I cannot really understand. I sound like Stephen Merchant. I'll look it up later at some point, but I will acknowledge it.
Yeah, I will never take it as a compliment nor as an insult. I will mainly just go,
Yeah, that's exactly how I'm thinking of that situation.
It's not. It's okay. You see and learn in time. Fair enough. Anyway, Sakataro Morishig, a character that broke himself by looking at dead bodies. Now we have Miss Yui, the teacher.
No, I don't think that's what killed him. I think it was the fact that Sakataro Morishig learned that the one person that actually gave a shit about him is now dead.
And thanks to Yuya also put into his head saying that she actually hates him, when in actuality she didn't want him to kill himself properly. But yeah, now moving on to Miss Yui, which we learn a bit more about her past. She's basically the same as she is as she's a teacher. Very happy-go-lucky, very, very, very bubbly, always willing to help people out and all that. Even risks her own life to save her students. What else can you say? She's pretty much a good role model teacher. Anyone should look up to her and all that.
Yeah.
That's really, yeah, she's fine as a character. She fulfills her role fine, and that's about it. You got anything to add, Rich?
No, not really. Besides me playing as a ditzy airhead, no, I think she's a good teacher. She's a good character because she gives a shit about her students. Where how many people would you say, if you were a teacher, would give a shit about the students? You know, where it's like it's just a paycheck.
That's very true. So yeah, Miss Yui's fine. She's pretty good. Now we move on to everyone's supposed either favorite or maybe, in my case, not favorite. And that is Naho. Which we will all now initiate the booing sequence. Boo! 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 Boo to her. She's a terrible character. She started everything. She killed a lot of people just for the sake of giving her flipping beloved data. Like,
I mean, you're not wrong because, like, she sat on this information and she used the information in such a way that allowed people to die for absolutely no damn reason.
Yep. She's a bitch.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, like, she really, like, the way she finally dies, she deserved worse. Like, not, like, just because she found the truth, that's not the way she should have died. She should have died a lot worse. A more painful death, if anything. But she was already dead, though, so it doesn't really matter anyway. She just extra killed herself. Like, she was like, in the chapter based on Sayaka, you learn a lot about her. She seems all cute. She's got a very serious side to her and all that, though, which we do see in, like, Corpse Party. But she also seems to have a very sadistic, twisted side to things and just does whatever she wants for her beloved. And then, which then leads her to then killing her beloved when she loses her mind. So yeah, Karma's a bitch. Could be worse. I don't know how it could be worse. But yeah, anyone else going to add on to Naho the bitch?
No.
I can understand the situation of why she did what she did, because she did have a fascination with Kabiki. Yeah, that's the one. I can understand you do the things that you do for love, but at the same time, she basically condemned a whole bunch of people who really hadn't done anything to basically sent. Lab rats and sentenced them to death. So, yeah, I can't really see any redeeming values to it, unless you go through the fanfic versions of her, which are trying to actually stop it. But
some of the fanfic versions base themselves on like the original build of the game, like the PC, like the PC 98 version, where like they don't actually appear until like they create like a continuity where like they actually do appear. Like with Fate Operation, like she wasn't like in D2, she wasn't part of the main game, but because like it took place on a different ending of that game, they basically just managed to throw in as just fine. She's just there now, and she does the same thing, but like she's not a bitch.
Yep.
Anyway.
Otherwise, I think that's everything from me.
Yep. Moving on, we have Yuya Kazami, a guy who was literally raised horribly in his mind, but was an absolute troublemaker and just made his life much worse, and hid his true feelings because he just wanted to observe people. And when he finally got to Heavenly Host, and when people started to betray him, even though he kicked the dead body down a flight of stairs, he then showed his true colors. Going around killing everyone. Because why not? And also wanted to have a little sister and just, I don't know, do stuff. Because there's like an image where like there's like I think it has Yuka, Satsuki, and Sachiko on it, and they're all like surrounding him with smiles on their face in 2U, which makes me question that scene. But yeah, like the guy's a flipping sociopath who actually in that episode of where Yuka's the main character on Book of Shadows, he seems to like have like some sort of epiphany kind of thing, kind of, but at the end of the day, it's non-canon because it just leads to like it leads to a connection of one of the endings in Corpse Party. Like the guy killed his best friend. It's like there's nothing redeemable about the guy, no matter what you say. I think we can all agree on that one.
No, that's true. I'd say he's irredeemably like He's irredeemably redeemable. It's like there's nothing good about this person. It's something that he's held like as a belief for a long time, as written by the story makers. So there's nothing we can say about that.
Yeah, it could be worse because I can imagine it might be a Evil Dead ripoff in anime, only without Bruce Campbell and not in a funny way. Yeah, it's not like that. I can tell you that right now. It's definitely not. Although to be fair, there's
no chainsaw arm.
Yeah, there is something that's close to the Necronomicon, but not in like the actual same way. But then again, the Necronomicon is used in every single type of medium when you really think about it. And of course, after Yuya, we've also got the main antagonist of everything, the girl in red, which will be like the last character we really talk about because the other characters would be here nearly all night.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sachiko. Is she scary? Kinda. Is she terrifying? Possibly. Is she unredeemable? No, not really. I mean, kind of in a way. She is kind of unredeemable, but you do like save her and all that though. But the only reason that she was becoming evil spirit is because of like the horrible, like the last thing she remembers that was being brutally killed by her headmaster, and also saw her mother die because of this man. So yeah.
Again, I say a lot of Japanese culture comes down to if a person has died in a horrific, unnatural, and like terrible way, they usually come back as some terrible and vindictive spirit according to Japanese culture. So if you've watched the Corpse Party series where it was like after her mother fell down the stairs after the head principal tried to sexually assault her and then pushed her down the stairs and then murdered her daughter because she saw the murder happening, that I would say that's much of a warrant into why she's acting out the way she is. So yeah, I will say that the things that she does are terrible. Most certainly, I agree. But at the same time, it comes down to like, I wouldn't say it's justified, but it is very much a situation where it's horrible enough to be like, you can understand why she would want to kill everything living.
Yeah. That's very true. Like, even though, like, she was going around killing people, though, but that's mainly because, like, her mind was wrapped with vengeance and dark and just, like, evil thoughts and all that, though, just getting revenge, even if it means killing other people. Like, well, to be fair, Japanese can do whatever they want with anime, and they'll never know what it is, nor what all about. But you can expect without questions. Very true. I can agree with that. But yeah, Tachiko literally has probably like, she's an evil child, but became evil for like the wrong reasons. Well, I guess you can also say
that's what anti-heroes are, you know, like it's they believe in something, that they believe the lie that is truth. So yeah. So I'm probably going to tangent here. Vegeta believed at first that the only way to get through in life and to get what you need is through absolute power, but as soon as Frieza disintegrated that because there was someone that's going to be much stronger than you in the world, that basically broke Vegeta as a person, but eventually turned him into a better character because he was like, yeah, I now realize what went wrong with that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. I can see that. What about you, Roy? Have you got anything to say about Sachiko?
Well, I think she caused some, trouble. Then,
Yeah, you're right. She definitely did cause some trouble.
I mean, if I had been murdered, I'd want to cause trouble too.
I mean, that's one way to look at it.
It's literally that thing of, like, whenever someone is feeling wronged or is perceived as wronged, there's payback. So, like in baseball, for instance, that this is a bad example, but it's like if you've said if it's basically like if someone pitches the ball to you and you basically like hit it off into the bleachers, but you watch it for 10 seconds, you've basically given them the middle finger for 10 seconds, and it doesn't matter who's the person that's wrong and all of this. So you're gonna still get a baseball to the fucking ribs.
Yeah, you're right.
It just comes down as to payback, and it doesn't even have to be the person that caused it. It just comes down to the person at the time to alleviate that.
Yes, I get that. But yeah, Sachiko is probably like a decent enough villain, but it is also misunderstood because of what happens to her. But yeah, that's all the characters that we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about the goods. We've got like 2 more things to do. That is the goods and bads, and recommendations to the series. So the goods and bads of the series. The first game, both the original and the Blood Coa game are both fine in their own right. They're both different in their own senses to give a different type of feel and atmosphere. And honestly, even though like it's still using sprites, like the 3DS game amps it up, making the sprite work look much better. CGs look vastly much better and appealing. They match with the characters much more, and it just generally feels much better to play. If I had to recommend which version to play, it would be the 3DS version of Corpse Party Blood Cover Repeated Fear. Would I recommend Book of Shadows? Not exactly. I mean, if you want to learn more about the characters, then yes, go right ahead. But if you want to just like know what happens, that's going to happen in Blood Drive, then I'd probably just like watch a video of Blood Drive, of like the Blood Drive chapter from Book of Shadows, and that's about it. As for Sachiko's Birthday Bash, I'd probably recommend that but I really can't make an opinion until I actually play it myself. And as for Blood Drive,
personally, it just sounds like a parody.
It's actually canon.
Grief.
It is canon by some logic, but that's not important right now. Book of Blood Drive. Would I recommend that? Not the Vita version. I'll say that. The Steam version, when it comes out, I'd definitely recommend it because it will run much better and not have any fucking issues that the flipping Vita version had. Now, as for Corpse Party 2, that's another game I haven't played, and it's coming out on Steam. And if you've liked and it's being made by Team Grizz. So, if you wanted to play a game that felt like the original Corpse Party, I would definitely recommend that one as well. Yeah, I'd recommend them, but if I had to say which one is like probably the worst, I'd say it's probably Book of Shadows is the worst, because it doesn't really do anything new, and it kind of chickens out with how it actually tries to use horror in a weird way. As for Blood Drive, it does a pretty good job of trying to emulate what the original did, and looks good like in the 3D environment, but the Vita did not help it, let's just say that. As for Sachiko's Birthday Bash, it goes more visual novel-y, so it's more reading and all that though. But I think that was the point. Like, it's meant to be like more like character building, more jokey and all that. As for 2, I haven't played 2, so I can only really say what I think of it, and it looks pretty good. But if you like wanted to like play it yourself, I'd wait till the actual Steam version comes out. And the original is still the best. It's still like, it still holds up to this very day, so I recommend getting the 3DS version or getting it on Steam. Whichever version you want, you'll get like the full story of it anyway. And so there you have it. This is our Corpse Party podcast. And like I said before, I'll definitely be like I'm gonna definitely go into more detail with the anime, but I need to write a script for it, and I'll get down to that at some point once I get some free time. I want to thank both Just Rich, and Rory for joining me on this expedition of talking about the games.
Not a problem. Happy to help where we can.
I hope you all enjoyed the podcast, and I'll let you all know what the next topic will be about. As always, I hope to see you next time. I'm not too sure if I'm going to be streaming Friday, but if I am, you'll get a notification. That's if you've made sure to hit that bell, because that's how you get notifications on this fucking site. So yeah, I hope to see you all next time, and have a good night.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.